The French government supports with PNG vaccine rollout. North Mekeo farms rise to embrace food security. And survey begins to draw public views.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Sunday's news. The French ambassador to Papua New Guinea was in Jiwaka province yesterday to support the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines to the remotest parts of the province. Ambassador Guillaume Lemon and Paul Lehmann from the Australian High Commission travelled to health centres in Jimmy and Kambia.
The French government has supported the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines by providing the logistical support for the transporting of the vaccines to the remotest parts of Jiwaka province. These are Kol and Amblua health centers in Jimmy district that borders Chimbu province, Sandiap and Koinambe health centers in Jimmy, which shares border with Medang province, and Mount Au health center in East Kambia. It was through the Airbus Foundation, a French aviation company, that made things possible to transport the health workers and the vaccines to these parts of the province.
The vaccination program of against COVID-19 in PNG. In this context, we are happy to be able for this helicopter to be used to fly in very remote areas, difficult to reach with another means of communication, so helicopters are very useful.
Jiwaka province had received 4,500 vaccines for its frontliners to be immunized against COVID-19 so that they can continue to treat patients. Situated along the Highlands Highway, COVID-19 cases and people dying from COVID-19 related deaths have increased in the last 6 weeks. The receiving of the vaccines by health staff, teachers, police personnel and other public servants are voluntary. Jiwaka Provincial Health Authority has thanked the government of France and Australia for their support.
And 500 has been used by Kuchib Nazrin General Hospital, Jiwaka, and we are left with 4,000. The other 1,000 it's now going to be delivered to the remotest part of this province, as I have said. It's Jimmy and Kambia.
The vaccine and logistical support was a combined effort of the government of France, Australia and New Zealand under an agreement between the three countries to support Pacific Island countries during a crisis. The Australian government has funded the vaccines at a cost of 144 million Australian dollars to provide vaccines nationwide.
We can't do it alone. So we're so happy that we have the cooperation of the Papua New Guinea government, the locals, the international organizations and our partners in the diplomatic community. It's together that we will do best to confront this pandemic.
The promotion and advocating of the vaccine rollout in these places will begin tomorrow. Meanwhile, PNG's COVID-19 total cases stand at an estimated 15,000 cases and an estimated 170 reported deaths. Vasanatha Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Karamoy Salt Nomane District now has a district procurement committee in place to help procure contracts at district level. The procurement committee members were sworn into office in Port Moresby recently. Local MP Jeffrey Kama says given the remoteness of the district, this committee will play a vital role in service delivery.
The District Procurement Committee consists of the District Development Authority CEO as the chairman, District Finance Manager, Justice Law and Order Representative, Community Rep and a Women's Rep. The Procurement Committee is recognized by the National Procurement Commission Board to conduct procurement at the district level. This allows for the district to expedite projects and deliver goods and services without delays.
I think with the swearing of our board, we hope to go back there and do the right thing, abiding by the oath that we have sworn to uphold the government principles, transparency, accountability, and deliver service to our people. That's the important thing.
According to the Procurement Act, district procurement committees are to procure contracts worth less than 2.5 million kina, with all contracts to be awarded to local contractors only, and all tender notices are to be advertised through the daily newspapers. The role of the National Procurement Commission is to provide oversight to ensure things are done in compliance with the National Procurement Act. They were also advised to create an office space for them to operate in, and they are to report to NPC board on a monthly basis.
So at least one office space will be this small like this, somewhere in the district, allocate one so that these documents are kept. So that every quarter you send us a report. The board will require a report to see that you're functioning, you're doing the right thing. If you're doing the wrong thing, the board will remove your powers.
Karamui Salt Nomane district is one of the remote districts in Simbu province. Road access to the district has always been a challenge. This contributes to the delay in the procurement of contracts and service delivery in the district. Local MP Jeffrey Kama says the committee will play a vital role in service delivery.
We put it in place because rolling out projects in the electorate is hard. Coming down to Mosby and going to Pundiawa is very hard because we are from the far more remote electorate in the province. And now that we have this boards in place, I think we will roll 3, 4, 5 at one time.
So far, NPC has established 14 provincial procurement committees and 44 district procurement committees. Districts and provinces that have yet to establish their procurement committees have been urged to do so before the end of June. Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
The people of North Mekeo and Central Province have been encouraged to plant more rice to sustain their livelihoods. With technical support and partnership between the Department of Agriculture, Commerce and Tourism, more than 60 bags have been locally milled. The local cooperative was presented 10,000 kina by the Karukuhiri MP Peter Eso Aimo during a recent visit.
A journey of the North Mekeo area is one of the hardest places to reach. Karukuhiri MP Peter Eso Aimo took no chance to visit these people who have been committed in farming rice in the past year. In the Engefa village, the Auka cooperative has produced over 60 bags of locally grown rice. They were reminded of food security concerns and its economic benefits.
We have to grow rice, mill it, we eat some first, and then leftover we sell them. So because this is food security, we are trying to maintain enough food for everybody to eat.
According to a DAL technical officer, more than 10 cooperative groups have constantly been milling rice in their communities. A positive feedback into the rice farming program supported by the Karukuhiri district and central provincial government.
Wherever the farmers can deliver the results, we will continue to work with you and we will continue to move on forward with you. So with those few remarks once again, the people of North Mekeo, you have delivered, you have given us the results. With the sector of agriculture, we will continue to work and run with you.
The Karukuhiri MP had a close encounter with the milling of the local produce. He encouraged people not to wait for government support but continue farming the crop as levels of government work to build other infrastructures to support the people. Eso Aimo says the district is huge and the slow release of DSIP has been a struggle to prioritize funding.
So we follow the law in expediting your money, but in the last 8 years we've expended your monies in the government priority areas of infrastructure, education, health, law, order and justice sector, the economic sector, which includes youth, women and churches, in our very own housing scheme wherever our people apply for roofing and housing materials, but more so especially even to purchase chainsaws to give away for infrastructure and housing developments.
During the visit, the district also presented funding to the local elementary school, primary and the Auka Rice Cooperative. Jokla Power Junior National, MTV News.
The national government for the first time has put aside 1 million kina for apiculture or the honeybee farming in the country. The funds are managed by the Livestock Development Corporation or LDC.
Apiculture or honeybee farming is a thriving industry in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, but sadly hasn't received any national government support over the years. Farmers through associations and a little provincial and district support have kept the industry hovering. All these concerns of support are now a thing of the past, as the national government has put aside 1 million kina to apiculture. The first massive intervention support was declared in Goroka on Friday by the Minister for Agriculture, John Simon. The funds are managed by the Livestock Development Corporation.
Government belong Honorable James Marape as our Prime Minister, and we put him 1 million kina to support him honeybee project. How do you now me black sim car? Narapla logan mi black sim modesla na sampla money stop on the mi playet. You play go straight in mi playet na by walk one the districts. You play ba come lo mi play na mi play ba helping you produce him honey.
Stakeholders involved in the honey industry were also present during the announcement, displaying their products to show the Agriculture Minister the potential of the industry.
Honey mi buy locally or local farmers.
The chairman of the Beekeepers Association highlighted some of the challenges as well.
In 17-18, people harvesting 2,078, 80 tons. Now, because Papua New Guinea, people consume 200 tons. And then people are still short of another 130 tons. And then another 200 tons, shipment out, now country money come inside. So people are still working, help come yet.
Farmers who have been actively involved in the honey business were given 3 hives each. A box of beehive costs between 500 to 700 kina, and this gesture was very much appreciated. A total of 72 beehive boxes were given to farmers in Eastern Highlands. Other farmers who have been well established were presented with honey extractors. Even farmers from Simbu, Jiwaka, Western Highlands and Enga. Livestock Development Corporation is working closely with the Daulo district and Ungaibena to help the farmers set up a cooperative society. Through a Memorandum of Understanding, LDC will assist the district support the farmers to increase production and eventually venture into other downstreaming business opportunities through the cooperative societies. Both groups were given 10,000 kina each to open an account.
Where you less long, go garden, where you get one honey box. Lucy box said that you look after honey box and then by give you some like hagelo. You by go na salem na buy school people picking blow you or look at him or family blow your house. Mibla la sabo the yubla, mibla by work boom on the yubla. Make sure you're making more honey. Mibla by elbow you set him or something up. So time you set him is look at something, all shops must come na buy him the yubla. Only not getting import him something, that's all.
Eastern Highlands Governor Peter Numu applauded this government's recognition to bee farmers in his province.
Provincial governments every year I got budget blow honeybee too. Now also carry out extension program.
Agriculture Minister John Simon also presented a brand new vehicle to the provincial government purposely for assisting bee farmers. Shamin Poreameb, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. After the break, we'll bring you this week's A Closer Look. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The government has begun a survey to draw public views on the proposal to change the constitution to declare Papua New Guinea a Christian country. The Constitutional Law Reform Commission is taking carriage of that task. SMS blasts followed the initial announcement, and teams have been traveling out to provinces to speak to various groups. The glaring question on the minds of many people is this: do we really need to spend that kind of money for a survey on a constitutional change to accommodate a religion? And is it really needed at this point in time?
As a country, we have so many divisive issues that we have to contend with and address on a daily basis. Papua New Guinea has spent the last 50 years trying to work through its cultural differences, and we've managed to achieve some semblance of coexistence. It's not perfect, and there are problems still seething beneath the surface.
Individuals that have committed these crimes, barbaric, primitive crimes, must not be in our society.
You must learn to live together. And if you want community, you can live with others, then this is not a place for you.
Allegiances for a vast majority of people is to tribe first, then country.
A contract was signed.
The Westminster system, imported and implanted with the view of giving everyone a fair representation, continues to clash with those affiliations. Politics and religion are human constructs, created for the purpose of keeping order in society, and each come with their own deities and followers. Our politics has always been sexist and very divisive. The discrimination against women candidates is glaringly obvious during elections, and the voice of women remains silent in this parliament. There are multiple versions of Christianity, and sometimes those differences in opinion erupt into physical confrontations among street preachers. We still have a long way to go in terms of religious intolerance within the confines of Christianity itself in Papua New Guinea.
That this matter should not be politicized. It's really a matter about what we were before as Christians. And we always know that we are a Christian nation, and that our preamble to our constitution expresses it clearly. There are two things that we have adopted until this time and that has been understood. First is our Christian beliefs and so on. So we have our cultural values, and then on the other hand, it is our Christian principles of belief. So our Christian is like this. Our Christian belief gives light to our traditional values.
And members of the Baha'i faith who've been active participants in the development of Papua New Guinea since the 1950s also face similar levels of misunderstanding. Unlike other countries in the region who have had more than 150 years of cross-cultural exchanges, many Papua New Guinea communities began to experience those exchanges only in the last 50 years.
Our fundamental concerns are not so much that Christianity is enshrined in the Constitution and that Christianity is declared a state religion, rather whether the freedom of conscience, belief and religion continues to be provided equally to all citizens and residents, and whether mechanisms exist for the protection of the rights of religious minorities. Of course, there is genuine anxiety and concern and fear, and we know this because we've had consultation in our internal institutions nationwide, and all have expressed this. It is a concern what the implications of this will be at the rural areas and how it can be inadvertently exploited. There are general questions that we raise as to what these amendments mean for those who do not subscribe to any faith or simply maintain our traditional and cultural beliefs, what these implications may mean on their basic human rights.
A lot of people in this country don't.
Maybe when our founders drafted the Constitution and Section 45, they foresaw in their wisdom the complications that would come about if they wrote in a specific declaration making PNG a Christian country. But how does one unify 800 nations with their own spiritual beliefs and various adopted denominations of Christianity? By allowing freedom of conscience, thought, religion and beliefs. Section 45 cautions against forcing people to subscribe to a religion. Religious education, however, can be given to a child with the consent of the child's parents. The government has to recognize that declaring PNG a Christian country can prove detrimental to national unity. There is a relatively large demographic of people who will readily listen to a so-called Christian leader who preaches that other world religions are ungodly and unwelcome. A constitutional amendment could give rise to our own version of religious extremism. It will alter the course of party politics and foster religious intolerance.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more of the day's stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Young Sengol Pakop is urging all youths in the Northwest electorate to rally behind him as he contests the by-election. He was at the Games Village Oval yesterday for a campaign rally. The young candidate says the electorate has had good leaders, but no proof of visible services improving the lives of the people of Northwest.
With about 10 days remaining for voting to commence for the Mosby Northwest by-election, campaigning has gone to the extreme. Son of NCD Governor and Box 20 candidate Sengol Pakop spoke to residents of North Waigani yesterday. He claims young energetic leaders are needed to bring change to the Northwest electorate.
I am your face contesting this election, young people. It is our time now, young people. We must start to rise, We must start to rise, provide leadership. Take responsibility and ownership now, young people. This is our time to rise.
The Mosby Northwest electorate covers 60% of the nation's capital. However, he believes not enough is done to improve lives of people. Speaking there, the young Pakop says his focus will be the youth, settlement upgrade and proper sewage system. He says more work will also be done to improve the decline in education and health standards.
Basic services such as health service, even education as well, education which captured in our policies. We see that education is a service that has to be provided on a quality scale. So our schools throughout this electorate, we've seen that there's no improvement. There's lack of support to our schools.
Businessman Matthew Minape played host to Sengol's campaign yesterday. Backing the young contesting candidate, Minape says young leaders must stand up for the people.
Aspiring young man, entrepreneur, and as an aspiring politician like me, who believes in good leadership in metropolitan cities like Port Moresby and Lae, and that I see the leadership that Sengol Alphonse Pakop Box 20 will provide a good leadership, and I believe in him and I trust in him. That's why, like when I'm not contesting and I'm free, I'm staging this kind of rally and supporting with this kind of, resource and like that. It's because you have to spend to make a good decision to choose a good leader.
Voting for the Mosby Northwest by-election will begin on June 2nd. Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
A resident of Mahuru village in Port Moresby is urging the police commissioner to look into criminal elements in the area. Louis Mac Johnson says many crimes committed have not been dealt with in the past years. These include rape, arson, murder and assault. He says this part of the city is experiencing a law and order breakdown. Mr. Johnson also expressed concerns of rogue police dealing with criminal elements in the area.
We have a serious problem, breakdown of law and order at Mahuru village. A few weeks ago, a little girl, a little bit numb, was brutally raped. Police need to investigate that. A few years ago, a factory-made firearm was pointed at my wife while I was in Medang and discharged. I called the Metsuk to investigate. That matter is still outstanding. I appeal to the police commissioner too that we need either ACP or some competent officers to man Boroko police station. I also appeal that the work of one of the shift officers, his behavior, attitude, be scrutinized and investigated.
And Truka Sports is next. All the details after the break.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome to True Kai Sports. The Gemo soccer tournament staged its finals yesterday, but the grand final match has been rescheduled to Monday. The decision was made by the game's coordinators after the semi-final games clocked off late in the evening.
After a week-long of football from 35 teams, yesterday the top 8 in the Gemo soccer tournament battled it out in front of a packed crowd for the prize money. The finals were opened by an entertaining match between host team Trinity Gemo and Auna Kofe. Both teams couldn't reach the back of the net and remained scoreless at full time, but Trinity Gemo booked a spot in the top 4 after beating Auna Kofe in a penalty shootout. Trinity Gemo then went up against a determined Kamali team in the first match of the semi-final. Trinity were the favourites to win, however, prior to the grand final showdown, the win was given to Kamali in a controversial decision by officials after a local from Gemo interrupted the semi-final match. Kamali were on standby for grand final while waiting for the winner of the second semi-final match between Kwaipo and Kamali Team 2. Time was not on their side to continue the game, so tournament officials reached a decision to defer the grand final game to tomorrow. Suli, True Kai Sports.
The honours of selecting women overseas with PNG heritage to join the All-Search PNG Orchids is on the coach. Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League is yet to appoint a coach for the team, but PNG RFL believes that majority of the women to make the Orchids team will be based in Papua New Guinea.
Between the New Zealand firm.
The Rugby League World Cup is scheduled for November this year, and a strong women's rugby league team from Papua New Guinea needs to be established, made up of local PNG women and PNG heritage players from overseas, to form the Oil Search PNG Orchids. With limited competition available on the local front, overseas players based mostly in Australia have had consistent rugby league competitions. But Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League still considers the number of local women playing to be the majority to form the Orchids. PNG RFL CEO Stanley Hondina mentioned the soon-to-be-established women's semi-professional competition, which will run alongside the last 6 weeks of the Digicel Cup, adding that it will ensure the majority of PNG's talent in the women's division have a competitive competition as a pathway to the Orchids for the World Cup this year.
Whilst we look at Orchids at the international level, we're also mindful that the two representation of the girls and the numbers are in our domestic front. And that's where Chairman said a bit that we wanted to do a bit of domestic competition to get the girls, engaged.
While PNG RFL are aware of the overseas-based players, they will have to first find a suitable coach for the National Women's Rugby League team to gather his coaching staff and start coming up with a recruitment strategy and look at the potential talent based overseas. Sandy Saka, PNG RFL chairman, said the board will not have any influence in selecting players based overseas.
Normally those decisions are left to the coach. And obviously with the board established, the appointment of the coach is the next thing. So some of those things are the purview of the coach. As the board, the instructions we give is we rank fourth. It has to be better than that. So the coach picks the team, the coaching staff and the players. They look at the domestic players, international players, and pick the best possible things for Papua New Guinea. So
Fidelis Sukina, True Kai Sports.
And that story wraps up True Kai Sports with the details after the break.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus. With you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Mostly cloudy with patchy rain drizzles possible in Port Moresby. Cloudy with patchy rain drizzles as well in Daru. Cloudy periods in Alotau. Mostly cloudy with light showers in Alotau and cloudy with a few rain showers in Popondetta. In the Mamasa region, mostly cloudy with rain showers in Leh, Medang, Wewak and Vanimo, and showers in Wau. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy with a few showers in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, and showers and thunderstorms in Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy with some rain showers right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kuntiawa, Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for Sunday, the 23rd of May 2021. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing, be safe, good night.